This is really the Fighter and the Kid.
Come on, baby.
Yo,
Yeah,
Brian
buddy.
Callen's playing grab ass on his cruise still, so I'm holding down the fort. And I sent out another bat signal, another Austin local. Last week it was the great Tim Kennedy. This week it's the great Mike Catherwood.
Thank you.
Brother, thank
He's
you
great.
for coming in.
That I feel weird because coming off the heels of Tim, I'm a real fucking letdown.
No, you're a professional, dude. You
I am
kidding
a
me?
pro. I'll give you that. I'm not going to shit here. I was thinking about this the other day, and I think that a lot of this like alpha male school stuff.
Alpha male school.
Well, you know how
you have
like
to go to school to be an alpha male.
you know what I
You're
mean.
Probably not.
There's
one.
a lot of guys. Some of them are very, very good. Some of them are, I think, very healthy for young men.
Yeah.
But there's a thing now where guys go online to learn about being manly.
Yeah.
And one thing that I do think that's kind of gotten distorted is this faux sense of humility, being arrogant, being unnecessarily like this sense of entitlement. Of course, that is gross.
Yes.
But also fake humility is kind of gross
That's the
too.
worst. Yeah, terrible.
Like if
You can smell it a mile away.
yeah.
Yeah, a mile away.
And I just think oh gosh, I remember. Okay, here's a perfect example. I used to work for Entertainment Tonight, and then I also worked for Access Hollywood, and I got because of that I would be on the red carpets a lot. I used to do the red carpets a lot for K-Rock, but I would be at the back, and no one would talk to me.
Yeah.
And it was very strange because then now I'm working for Entertainment Tonight. I'm literally publicists coming up to me, making sure I have the right spot, and ushering stars to me. It was quite a different thing. So I got to analyze behavior of very famous people. And I remember this one time, it was so distinct, and it really changed the way I look at things. All the stars are coming down, and right next to me is Renee, I believe Barg is her last name. She works for these shows too. She's a very beautiful Australian woman. And I kind of knew we were friendly. And so we're chit-chatting, and I'm watching her interview people as they come down. Famous person. A lot of these girls, a lot of these women were saying, Renee would say, "You look beautiful tonight." And they all of them did, the men and women. All of them, they're like, "Oh,
thank
it's
you.
it's all a facade." Oh my gosh, you just see me without makeup. And
Yeah.
a dozen of them did it. George Clooney walks up. It's about 15 years ago. George Clooney walks up, black suit, perfectly fitting. And Renee goes, "George, you look so handsome tonight. You look so magnificent." And he goes, "Wow, thank you. That's really nice of you to say. That makes me feel very good."
And that's it.
Next question. I was like,
Yes. That's how you handle it. That's it.
home
dude.
run. That's home
That's
run.
it.
And he wasn't being arrogant.
No,
He's
just
like,
"Oh,
what
damn,
a
thank
nice
you."
compliment.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel good.
And from that moment on, I really reanalyzed the way I look at. Obviously, being a cocky, arrogant shithead, no one likes that.
No.
But at the same time, just working hard to dance around the fact that you're like, "Oh, thank you. I worked really hard
just
to
own
do
it.
fill in the blank," and I
just own
appreciate
it.
the
own
compliment.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been on those red carpets because I worked for E, so I was there like
Oh, yeah,
Grammys,
you know.
Oscars. And the dynamic is it's weird. It's weird.
It is.
And then you'll see certain celebrities like A-listers like Lady Gaga, and I would like my takeaways from it, I was like, I feel bad for him.
I do too.
I was like, oh man. I feel it's just not normal. It's not how humans should live. And then also
She's a perfect example too. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I also saw how, just the treatment you get from different ones,
Yep.
different ones, and then the way they would treat other people. Or I would be with a big celebrity, and they would have to had the same sponsor, and we'd be on the red carpet, and they would have to interview me in order to get to that bigger name, and just the way they would treat me compared to that guy.
Right.
You're like, man, what a weird thing.
That is
It never
strange.
hurt my feelings. I was just like, God, what a weird.
Well, and
fucking
also,
world.
I don't even know if it's them. It's like they have a team of people, publicist, agent, manager, and they're all there, and they're clearly like, it's important when you talk to this person. Don't give a fuck about this
This
guy.
thing
or
get
guy.
ratings,
And
so talk to them, and I'll even be talking to them. And you ever had that happen when there's someone more famous in the room?
Oh, yeah.
And they're talking to you, and they're literally like, "Yeah, good to see you, man. Yeah, very cool." And they're like looking around, like, "Buddy, come on, man."
I will always say that I don't like to be a name dropper stuff, but I worked in the entertainment industry in the broadcasting segment of it. So I'm interviewing lots of people of varying levels of success. So I have many stories, and I always like to put out there when someone does shit where you're like, that dude's a real one. Yeah. That lady's cool. And I will always compliment and promote Bradley Cooper for this reason. I'm interviewing him on the red carpet, Toronto Film Festival. I believe they were promoting the remake Country Music with Lady Gaga.
Yeah, great movie.
Stars Born? No,
Stars Born. Yeah, Stars Born. So, fantastic movie.
Yeah, and he's in it in the promotionals, and he's doing the thing. And it's the Toronto Film Festival, very well regarded thing. And I'm interviewing him, and an agent / someone in his entourage comes and literally walks him away to go to NBC Nightly News, New York Times, someone big ballin'. And they literally like pulled him like go into his ear. Let's go. And he finished, stopped what he was doing, walked back over to me. He's like, I'm really sorry.
Oh, wow, that's
do
cool.
you have anything else you wanted to go?
Oh, no,
I was like, yo.
That's a real one.
Thank you, dude.
Yeah,
that was very nice of you. And you didn't have to do that.
Yeah, I've had it happen with, I was in New York doing a promotion for my special, and Schultz calls me. He was like, hey, Gary V wants to see you.
Nice.
I don't know who that. I didn't know who it was
at the time. You didn't?
No, this is like 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
I'm like, who? He's like, dude, fucking Gary V, the business guy. He's all over. I'm like, I don't know who the fuck it is. I was like, tell him to text me. He's like, okay, but you're gonna want to see this guy, dude. I'm like, all right, dude. So then he's like, yo, it's Gary. And I'm not being arrogant. I was just like, Gary who, man?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, Gary V, I get your number from Schultz. Would love for you to stop by. You know, I'm like, all right, cool. And I had a busy day, but I was like, all right, I'll go there. So it's all the way, whatever, fucking Manhattan. So I get there, and I had no idea what I was getting into. And it's like this crazy, typical New York that you see in the movie Office. He has like hundreds of employees, and his name's everywhere. I'm like, oh, this guy seems like a big deal. And then his assistant like greets me, and she's like, okay, you have 5 minutes. Yeah, and he's like, I'm looking at Gary's schedule. Yeah, he's allotted 5 minutes. I went, no, I'm not doing it then. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I didn't rush here in a taxi, walk here, make other plans, rearrange my schedule for 5 minutes. Yeah. That's not happening. She's like, well, that's what it is. Like, not a chance. And she's like, okay, well, it's 5 minutes. I'm like, okay, it's not though.
Yeah.
And so then I got in there, and Gary's doing his thing, and in my head, I'm like kind of looking at my watch. I'm like, we're at 4 minutes. See what happens here. And then she comes knocking on the last fight, and he goes like this. And I think, and she told him that. I was like, nah, 5 minutes ain't gonna cut it. And he respected it. He's like, oh, I get it, man. Because I know he has a busy schedule. It's like, sure, buddy, you're not gonna call me down here.
And by the way, it'd be total. That whole thing would be different. I respect what you did too, and I think it was appropriate.
Like my time's valuable too.
The whole thing would be different if you hit him up.
Correct.
You're like, I'll do anything. Just for 5 minutes of your time.
If I was like, hey, I have this business plan, I want to spit to you. Yeah. Like, tell me what you think.
You're minding your business.
All good.
Yeah.
No, I was like, no, Bob. No. He was great. He was awesome.
Yeah, my old publicist called Nancy Grace a cunt in front of me for that reason, in the opposite direction. Yeah. Because I was in Venice in my place. It was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and they're like, we need you to come comment on something on the Nancy Grace show. And I was like, okay. I was like, when will I be out? They're like, well, they're going to pre-record it. Who knows? Then the time got pushed back. I was like, well, I'm live on Loveline at 10. So what are we doing? I make my way out there. The studio happened to be in Culver City, so it was cool. It was kind of near Loveline.
Yeah.
I've changed everything. I just go out there. I put like, a sweater on or some shit, and I get all dolled up and then they're like, yeah, we're not going to be able to use you. And I'm just like, I was like, personally, I was like, oh no, it's not like I was going to get laid.
Yeah.
And I was literally sitting on my couch in Venice, and I'm getting up to walk away, and my publicist fucking erupted.
I'd be pissed.
And she actually, okay, I take that back. She didn't call Nancy. She called whoever the producer was at the Nancy Grace show.
Nancy Grace doesn't know.
But Nancy Grace came out. That's why I got, because Nancy Grace came out, and she was like, oh yeah, I'm sorry. It must have worked out improper. That's not correct. That happened to you. That's not appropriate.
Oh, that's cool.
But my publicist dropped the C-bomb on this lady. But I was like, yo.
But she's probably used to like some of the other talent freaking out if that happens.
She is, and she's also
pretty cool. I'm like, all right, whatever.
She also exclusively has way more prominent people than me. Yeah. Like, I'm a radio guy, and I was like, I was like,
okay, some big wigs where if it happens.
Wasting my time. Oh, well.
Yeah. I get it. Dude, I was thinking about you the other day, because who was I talking to? Oh, my boy Jesse.
Because you were jerking off, right? Okay.
Yes, I was jerking off hard thinking of your body. But no, I went and rolled with Victor Hugo at Thicccboy. I rolled with those boys.
He's a G.
Yeah, he's a gangster. They got some monsters in there. And, you know, I'm 40-ish and I was rolling and then I was pretty sore and we were talking about you. They're like, but Mike's in good shape. He rolls too, right? I'm like, yeah, Mike's a beast. I'm thinking you don't have a ton of injuries, right? Like you're one of the...
I do not have a ton of injuries. I have a lot of ouchie. I have a lot of just general ouchie.
Yeah, for me, it's like, I need to...
my knees, my hips, my fingers, my hands, everything hurts. But
See, I don't have any of that, but when I get hurt, I get fucking hurt. Like, so I trained with Tim on Tuesday, which, you know, Tim's a fucking crazy
That's
man.
a different thing.
So I trained with him. I was kind of sore. I was like, oh, I'm all right. Haven't done a workout like that in a hot second, but I did good.
Did you go to Gracie Humaita or where'd you go?
I went to Thicccboy.
Okay, nice.
I went to Victor Hugo's gym, rolled with all those monsters, felt good, did pretty well. Cardio was fine. And then, you know, I always lift like I usually do, even if I'm doing jiu-jitsu or Tim's workouts, I still do my workouts. And then yesterday, Tiger had like this baseball workout and they need a base runner to run the bases. And Tiger's like, Dad, you think these kids can throw you out? I'm like, not a chance, dude. Yeah. And they're little monsters. I'm like, not a chance. So I sprint the first run. It's hot out. So I'm like, I'm kind of warmed up. I don't need a stretch. So I do about 5 of them. And I was like, man, I'm getting a little tired, whatever. But I feel pretty good. I'm fucking, no one's getting me out. And Tiger's like, yeah, there's my dad. And then one kid goes, Shab, one more, dude. Come on, let me try. I'm like, you got it, pal. Good luck. And I'm hauling, dude. I'm hauling. And he doesn't get me out. But then I'm sprinting. I hear my quad go, like a fucking piston goes. And I just hit the ground like, oh, but I was trying to be cool in front of all the kids. I'm like, oh boy, cramp it up here, fellas, cramp it up. Sprinting. I got back to the thing. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing?
I don't think you have to have this existential crisis. Like, is this over for me? It's just like, you're a car guy, you get it. There's a whole different thing. Like driving around town, you can have your classic car. You can have a brand new Lamborghini, Bugatti, whatever. Driving around town, going at a consistent pace on the freeway is one thing. Pushing the limits, redlining stuff. I mean, you're when something has a lot of horsepower and you redline it, the stakes go up.
I don't have forged internals anymore.
You don't. It's like if you take a nice board and stroke big block 454 and throw it in a VW Bug without changing the rear end, everything falls apart. You know.
Yep, that's my thing. It's like I can still do it. Like I was fine with the jiu-jitsu. I was fine with Tim's workout. Obviously, I'm lifting every day. It's just whenever I sprint now, it fucks me up.
Well, here's another thing too, and I'm not. This is admittedly, and I actually want to talk about this in there. This is outside of my pay grade. This is opinion. I like to throw that out there. Not enough people do that. This is just something I was thinking about. I have noticed anecdotally, and also talking with my friends who are very, very good athletes, and a lot of times very muscular and strong and powerful, and whatnot. A lot of injuries happens when you're not paying attention.
Yep.
You're playing around with your kids.
Yep.
I notice it, and it's like, could it be something physical with the rotational stuff, a turning, bouncing? Maybe, but a lot of it is just when I'm deadlifting, when I'm sprinting to train for
you're good
VO2 max or body fat loss. I'm tuned in, and I'm like, I'm going to sprint right now.
Yeah.
Let's go. I'm warmed up. I'm ready. When I'm playing catch with my daughter's like male buddies, and I hit a tank because they're playing wiffle ball. I was like, you guys have no idea how much I'm gonna fucking hit a grand slam. I'm gonna fucking rock you to the rafter. And then next thing I know, I'm like, my whole hips are all because your mind's not in it, you know.
Yeah, the coach was like, "What are you doing, dude? Why are you running so fast?" I'm like, I don't want him to get me out. And I was like, I'm like Marty McFly when you call him chicken. Like I can't back down, man. So when they like challenge me, I'm like, let's do this. Let's take a little break here, kids. Chatting with Mike Catherwood on this week's Firing the Kid, because this episode of the Firing Kid is brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly, they're in the business of keeping your car on the freaking road. O'Reilly Auto Parts offers friendly, helpful service and parts knowledge you need for all your maintenance and repairs. Whether you're a car expert, you're a rookie, you'll find the employees at O'Reilly Auto Parts are super knowledgeable, helpful, best of all, super friendly. All right. The people at O'Reilly Auto Parts are your one-stop shop for all things auto do-it-yourself. You can find what you need in-store, online. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today. Visit them at O'ReillyAuto.com/fighter. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/fighter. I just need to take it down a notch where I'm like, probably don't sprint, big dog.
I got to ask you a question. I've actually I've had the same conversation with Tim. You're not someone who I don't think like you sit around thinking I would love to hurt someone right now.
Never.
You're not, but your capacity, and Tim is the same way. And I rolled and done all combat sports with Tim. And it's a thing.
He's a monster.
But your capacity to fuck people up is very high, very high. Tim's is very high. And so there has to be situations, a lot of situations in life where you're like, I don't know what you think you're getting into, but the reason I ask this is because I don't have a very high capacity to hurt Earth, the people of Earth. But the other day, my daughter has male friends, male buddies, and they
How old is she?
She's 11, but the oldest kid was like 8th grade, like 13, 14, like freshman.
Old enough.
And then the youngest of the group was probably like in the 9 ballpark. A collection of brothers and their male friends.
Yeah.
And I like these. They're good kids and all. But I was driving around. We went to the water park, Typhoon, Texas, here in Texas. And we're having a great time and everything. And they start getting lippy.
With you?
I mean, and in the back of my, they're little boys. They're, especially the 14-year-old. They're like, yeah, well, I'll show you I'll fuck you up. And I was like, and I pulled the car over. And I was like,
hold up.
You're having a good time. This is fun. I was like, I wouldn't even break a sweat.
Yeah, dude.
I would smash the fuck. All of you in the car, everyone in this car,
I'm so down
all
for
versus
it.
me. I would destroy you. Just so we know. Let's have some fun here, but let's get that. And I wonder,
fuck you up.
does that happen to you with adults, especially in the comedy world?
Never.
Because you've got to be like, I know we're having fun here.
Never. In comedy, it got, because I was always like trying to like dole down my parents and how I could fight. So I never brought that side out. But then it became, I was like just a stomping pad. Yeah. Oh, Shop doesn't care. Yeah. You can fire away, man. You can say whatever you want. And then I went so far where I was like, man, if I return to that scene and I get in that environment where I'm at now mentally, it's like, I'll fuck them up.
Yeah.
So I took myself out of it. If that makes sense.
But
also my son, like, I'm his dad. So it's all, he doesn't know what he's talking about. It's whatever.
Yeah.
And he was getting lippy with me. And I was like, oh, dude, I will fuck you up. Bud.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, you won't. I'm like, oh, really? Because he was getting a little arrogant. And I was like, I'll tell you what, I'm not gonna hit you hard, but whatever you want to do, dude. Yeah. And I said something. I was like, if you do this, you can do that. And he's like, cool, man. And he's like, legit in his mind thought he could fuck me up. And I was like, go, dude. You can throw as hard as you want. I'm going to be at 10%.
Because that's almost educational for him at that point.
That's all I wanted. I'm like, let me just show you the difference. But then he was like throwing hard kicks to my leg and stuff. And I was like, Jesus Christ, dude. And he was like, yeah, what's up, man? I'm like, all right, dude. All right, keep going. And he throws a kick and I just check it with my knee and his top of his foot hits my knee. He's like on the ground and then he's getting up and he's like, I can tell you he's mad. He wants to cry because he thought he was going to win. And he's still like going hard. And I'm like, getting him chokes. I'm like, you good, dude? And just like grabbing him. And we got done. It was a learning experience for him. But I go, buddy, if you fight another 9-year-old like that, you're going to dominate. Yeah. Like take that energy. Anytime if you're getting bullied or whatever.
Even like a tough 9-year-old. Like buddy. That's devastation, right?
I was like, bud, if you just throw one of those leg kicks on one of these little bitches, it's at the schoolyard, it's game over, dude. Like, just take that energy and put there. And I always tell them, like, as long as you live, you're never going to beat me up, dude.
Yeah.
I'm constantly going to stay in shape, so you never beat me up.
That's a thing.
When he gets 20, it's going to be dicey.
Glad you brought that up. That's a thing. And I'm happy because everything's distorted for you, for guys like you, guys like Tim, because I don't think you should ever feel like you should be able to beat up your dad. Like there's a thing, it's your dad, right?
100%.
But I realistically could fuck my dad up when I was like 15, and I've always, now that being said, I would never because I have a very healthy relationship.
Nor would you ever, but I was always scared of my dad. Like I want my kid, it's a fine line. Like you don't want him like super scared to talk to you, but when it comes to physical shit, it's like,
And I was never really scared of my father. The thing I still am, I still struggle with this a lot. I feel very inadequate with my dad.
Yeah.
Because
it's respecting.
We talk about the ass kicking. Sure. Yeah. My dad's a giant fat fucking useless pilot. And my dad's 5'7" and fat.
Yeah.
And has always been fat my whole life.
Yeah.
But my dad was very high ranking military was thought he was going to do it for a career, then transferred out, worked at the Pentagon for a long time.
Yeah, so
and
smart dude.
Transferred out into the private sector and was highly successful. And he's kind of a mathematical guy.
Oh, wow.
And so I have this built-in thing, like I make fart jokes.
Yeah, I'm an idiot.
You know,
compared to my brother and dad,
I feel that way a lot
I'm
next to my dad. And I don't know how to make heads or tails of it, but I'm not necessarily sure that's a bad
I think
thing.
that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the level of respect. Yeah, good thing. Like if I argue with my dad, it's like I better have my P's and Q's. Because he's fucking smart, man. He's super knowledgeable, reads all the time. Like I better become correct.
It's like Drew, like Dr. Drew and I are very close. And I have the same thing. Like it's so funny to me. I would never think to argue with Drew about practically anything. But then there's stuff where I'm like, you fucking idiot. How does this not make sense to you?
You guys are boys.
Yeah. My dad's the same way though. Like I went back to LA 3-4 weeks ago and I stayed with my parents and it was great. It was a really nice experience. But getting my dad to understand how to use the fucking remote control for the different streaming services on top of the regular TV. I was like, how is this fucking confusing, you know? But at the same time, anything else in the world,
dude, it's like with Rogan, you know, with him, like he's so much smarter than me, knows so much shit about things. But when it comes to fighting, that's all.
You've been in there.
That's when I'm like, I'll push back on this. Yeah. That's the only thing really. Outside that, man, his knowledge on anything, it's tough. Only fighting, I'll push back on.
And I like Joe a lot for that reason. In that I don't ever really feel, and I admittedly I am a fan and I listen, but I'm not like some people listen to every episode of JRE. I'm not that guy. But I don't really hear Joe speak on stuff except for maybe like stand up as an authority. He's just such a aggressively curious guy. He has a lot of information about a lot of different things, and he's very curious. And he's like, well, how does that work? Because the other day I saw this video or I read a book about fill in the blank. How can you detail that more? Yeah, but I never really hear him like condescending on stuff.
Never. Yeah, and he's different than me where I know my lane. Like it's very rare I'll step outside of it. Even if I'm interested in it, sometimes I'll step outside. But if I don't know the subject, he's usually pretty well versed on all subjects. Yeah. And then he asks a ton of questions. You know?
I feel weird. I think this is, and I'm very interested to get your take on it.
But real quick, Brian's different where Callan will argue with me over like UFC shit. I'm like, buddy.
But I also think a lot of
that's what makes him great.
You know Brian very well, obviously. Yeah. I know Brian very well. I really care about Brian. I think he's a great guy.
Yeah.
He's so good at being that guy on the air. He's different off the air. I mean, Brian plays up I'm the expert on everything.
Yeah.
Like him arguing with you over anything regarding combat sports.
No,
there's some comedic motivation.
That's it. Chin, would you think Brian truly believes it? I think that's what makes him great, but it's also kind of a huge gap in his game.
He can make it funny though. Like
that's what I think.
Yeah, sometimes he'll play with you a little bit. Yeah. But a lot of stuff he does actually truly believe.
Yeah. I got to a point where, because I'm a horny, disgusting pig. But also it became a thing where every girl that was on Loveline, even if I wasn't particularly attracted to her, if she was over 18 and female, I was going to, I met my wife on Loveline.
Yeah.
Really? I betted many women as guests of Loveline. Oh, wow. And but I took it up a notch because it became an ongoing thing. Yeah. And I think that Brian's so funny at like, let me tell you about swordplay, and you're like, shut the fuck up. Yeah. I think now he realized how successful he's become at doing it.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. You know,
that's what I think. Because I've definitely I've been in conversations with Brian where the switch gets flipped.
Yeah,
where he's like,
certain subject you will.
Well, my lats, they're so wide, I might fly away in a strong breeze. And then like 5 minutes, like he said, but seriously, how do you train? What's a good way to isolate my back?
Seriously, how do I grow my back?
Yeah, I've had that happen. You know.
Yeah, he's the best and the worst. You know.
But it's weird. The internet. It's almost. I always like to point out. I'm not trying to say like this is. There's no shit talking there, but I feel like with the development of podcasting and videocast and the internet being it's so pervasive, people giving their opinions, people talking about stuff. I hear so much talking about things like military, military exercises and global political stuff, and I'm like, wait, you're you're a bouncer. You know, I'm not talking shit, but like,
You make
why is
frappuccinos.
there even, why are we wasting any time talking about your thoughts on Iran?
But then it'll have 100,000 views.
Right. And don't get me wrong.
It's wild.
If
It's a good take.
homeboy at the Drinking Brothers, I can't believe it. It's very disrespectful. I forgot his name. But there's a gentleman at the member of the Drinking Brothers that's a former high-ranking military, and he works very hard now, kind of outside of public eye with veterans and veteran affairs and stuff. And when he's talking to me about Israel and Palestine, I go, okay, thank you. I'm glad. Please talk on the air so we can get some in.
Well, that was like,
he's been literally in a military capacity. He's been to that part of the world.
And he knows how it works.
Yes.
You know, it's like when Tim was in here and, you know,
Dan Holloway. Sorry, but
Dan's great. Dan's the man.
Dan's awesome.
Yeah, he's awesome.
If Tim and Dan wanted,
that's why when Tim was in there, the Iran shit was popping off. I asked him about it because it stresses me out. You know, it's like, is World War III coming? Are we going to get blown to fucking smithereens? Sure. And when he breaks it down, I'm like, I feel so much better.
And I when I wake up and then I hear like the way Trump is doing the way Kamala handled that, I go like, but what? I understand. I love that it's America. You have your opinions. Let's chop it up. Let's talk some shit. But why your show is like, this is based in, you're presenting this as if you're informing the public.
Correct.
I'm like, why are we doing that? You know, I don't know. That bothers me a lot.
And they build followings.
And that, by the way, I will talk about, let's relegate it to stuff that I do feel very confident in asserting myself and stepping up. I hear people like talking about fitness stuff and they'll just say shit. And I go, whoa, like, why do you even feel comfortable having
like Brian asked me.
Forum?
Yeah, because I'm like, hey, this guy's doing this, and this. And I'm like, I don't know about any of that stuff. This is what I do. It works for me. I've done it at a high level for a long time. That's all I can tell you.
Yes.
That might work for them. But what's he do?
Yeah.
He's just a big, strong guy. He's never competed in anything. I'm like, I don't know.
And that bothers me a lot. And
is he educated? Does he have a background, certifications?
There's some people
degrees?
who they like, you know, I know Mark Bell and his brother Chris, they do a great job because he's just like, I'm jacked. I was in powerlifting. I've dabbled in bodybuilding. I have a lot of guests on in the sports performance world. Let's chop it up. I'm really interested in this.
That's cool.
Let's chop it up. I love that. I feel like I do that often. Yeah, I'm happy to chop it up. But it's more of the people, like a lot of the influencers I see them, and they're like, just follow this diet. Go, you got it. If you're not training high volume, you're making the mistake. Let me tell you why. And I was like, you're basing that on what?
Yeah, because
you're 170 pounds and probably 15% body fat. You're like marginally good looking with your shirt off.
Yeah.
And you're going to tell me how to prep you're going to tell kids how to prep for a bodybuilding to get 6%?
The problem
what do you know about it?
The problem is a lot of kids are listening. Like my son, he's watching some fucking influencer talk about baseball. And he's like, Dad, look at this. He says swing like this. I'm like, who do you play for?
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know. I'm like, let's look him up. You look him up. He played like high school ball. I'm like, cool. Here's Barry Bonds talking about how to swing. Listen to that fucking guy.
And I think this is because some of the best coaches suck ass. Or who has he coached? Because there's a lot of people in skill sports, especially football, baseball, basketball off the top of my head. Some of the greatest coaches, some of the greatest shooting coaches were not necessarily the greatest shooters. Some of the greatest offensive line coaches weren't all pro.
Yeah, there's some of that. There's some of that.
So a lot of times I would say, here's another one where we can escape that. He may have only played at like high level high school,
but he's
been working for the Green Bay Packers for 16 years.
That's different. Yeah. But it's same with like, there's all these videos, you know, especially with kids on how to throw a knuckleball, curveball, all this shit. And T's watching that. I'm like, or I know a guy named Tom House.
Yeah.
He's like, who's that? I'm like, well, just give you some of his background. He's the godfather of pitching. He goes, well, he's old, Dad. I'm like, he's old.
He is.
He's old. But he's literally changed pitching forever. Yeah. And Tom Brady goes to him for his mechanics and football. He works with, and T's like, well, who's he worked with? I'm like, you know Nolan Ryan? He goes, yeah. I'm like, he was his pitching coach when he was Nolan Ryan, the best to ever do it. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah. And then once he gets those names, he's like, all right, I'll watch. I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude.
Especially the world of physique sports, that's never more true. Because guys and girls who excel at it oftentimes know the least.
Correct.
Because they're so genetically gifted.
Yeah.
Ronnie Coleman is not necessarily like a wealth of knowledge. Ronnie Coleman came out of the chute.
Lightweight, baby.
So gifted.
Do you ever watch his dog? His diet? He's like, he's this huge.
I don't eat much broccoli. But Chad would tell me eat vegetables. I don't eat much vegetable. I eat rice.
I love it. He has this giant grilled thing of chicken. And he's like, I like to eat this every day. I like to eat it. And he takes honey barbecue sauce and just takes the bottle and dumps in it. He's like, this is why I use these to stay so shredded. It's like, yeah, but how much gear are you running, dude?
But kids are watching look, Ronnie Coleman is the best example of doing it right here for this reason. He was clean by his own admission, by everyone else's admission. He got his IFBB pro card, was getting like 4th, 5th in shows. Completely natural, just because he was jacked and his genetics were so good, and people saw him lift weights and they're like, dude, we got to do. And then he met people. He's like, okay, what do I do to win shows? And they're like, here's some drugs. And he was 28 or something. And he became Ronnie.
He was also, Ronnie's one of those guys too that like actually, because I've worked out some Olympian stuff like that, and they're not that.
Sometimes, yeah, they're not.
You're like, really?
They're not weak, but they're
never
not
weak, but they're not like Thor.
Yeah,
it's nothing that's gonna blow you away. It's like, oh, I can do this. Yes. But
especially a guy like you, you're very strong.
But then you see Ronnie Coleman. Now, granted, he can't walk now and has had hip replacements, and he's a disaster.
Has it been worth it? I don't know. Here, I have a literal.
Watch his leg press and his squat. You're like, holy fuck!
I have a literal Ronnie Coleman.
Love to hear
working out.
Lightweight, baby.
I would love to say I trained with Ronnie. Not true, but I trained. I'll tell you the story. Gold's Gym Pasadena. He is coming to guest pose for a show. Now, this is not 2000. This is not 99, 2000 Ronnie, but this is back end of peak Ronnie, 2004.
Oh, still
okay.
Ronnie.
So, he was just going back and forth with Jay. He's fucking Ronnie. Okay. He was guest posing in Pasadena at a show. One of Lonnie Taper's shows out there.
It's 300 some pounds at the time.
Close to 300 pounds off season. And fucking, he doesn't look real. It's a cartoon character. He walks in. I'm lifting weights. He comes in to train. He's training back. He has a fucking weight caddy. He has a dude that's his job that just racks. And Ronnie's deadlifting and shit outdoors in the outdoor area. People are stopping with it's amazing. It's Ronnie Coleman, and it was awesome. I'm doing seated overhead dumbbell shoulder press, and I'm on gear at the time. Working, I'm a healthy, strong guy.
Yeah.
And I don't know, let's say for the sake of argument, they were 75, 80 pounds. And I'm going into like a hypertrophy rep range. I'm doing 10 to 12. Yeah. But that's like my max set, it's like, and I was on the adjustable bench, but I moved it all the way up, not just a seated bench.
So it was a proper
so it was like press. Almost like, not straight up, but like super high incline. And I'm doing them like this. And then I drop the weights, and when I drop the weights and put them down, I see in the mirror Ronnie Coleman and his weight caddy are standing right behind me, looking at me. And I turn around to say, like, "Oh, do you guys want to work?" And Ronnie Coleman, he's like, "How many sets you got left?" I'm like, "I'm actually done. Let me hear you guys go." And I get up to go to put the weight, and he goes, "Oh," he's like, "Thanks, man. You just leave him there. You just leave him there." He sits down, and the guy moves the bench a little bit farther down, but super high incline, but it was still like maybe 10% down, like that. He picks him up without straps and sits down, and then starts curling them, seated curling him, like, "Yeah, baby, yeah, buddy." And I'm walking away going, "Oh, okay. Well, that's what he's doing."
Oh yeah,
and it wasn't. I don't think it was his heavy set.
No.
He was like, "Yeah, buddy, just repping that shit." I was like, "Oh man, you just destroyed me."
Dude, did you hear him on Rogan? Oh yeah.
Wait, Rogan as regards to
he was
Ronnie?
on JRE. Yeah. Probably like 2-3 years ago.
I thought you said, did you hear about Rogan?
Oh no.
I heard him on Rogan. I loved it.
He was great. Some of it I call bullshit.
What?
I was 1% body fat.
Oh no.
That's not true.
I don't call bullshit in the sense that he's wrong.
No, someone
in his brain, he's like, I don't know. I live for 5,000 pounds a day. I always use Ronnie as an example of why I loved he and Dorian Yates both said it on JRE.
What Dorian say?
Joe asked very, very astute question. What about someone who doesn't have the best genetics? Could they achieve greatness? And they're like, no. No, I mean if you have a wide waist and narrow shoulders, bodybuilding is not going to fucking work for you.
Small calves, like Gunther.
And also, if you have a terrible capacity to build muscle, some people are very gifted in that regard, and some people aren't.
Yeah, it's the highest level to it.
But Ronnie is the funniest because, he's very similar to Kron Gracie, and I mean this as a compliment. I trained at Kron's Academy for a while, and I got to know him, and he's a great guy. But people think like Kron's like a weirdo. No, he's completely oblivious. Like he's not a shit talker. I remember he did a spread in Details magazine, and I had it. He did about growing up with Hickson as a father and training jiu-jitsu in his academy, and he's shirtless in it, and he's beautiful, and I had it there. And my wife and her friend a female friend came over, and they go, whoa. And I was like, that's my jujitsu coach.
Yeah.
She goes, that's your jujitsu coach?
Yeah, man.
I said, yes.
Dime.
I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
I know he looks like a male model, but
yeah.
She's like, I may have to take that up. I go in that night, like Kron couldn't be less aware that he's like a hottie. He just fucking chokes people.
Yeah, since he was in diapers.
And I think Ronnie's in the same regard. Like, I don't even think he understands how awesome he just knows, like, I'm really strong. I love lifting weights. Put more plates on. I'll do that. And he eats
Ignorance
shit.
is bliss.
This guy told me to eat this.
Yeah.
This guy told me to inject this in my butt. And 8 times I win.
Did you ever see when he's a cop in Houston?
Dude.
He has the SWAT vest on and just 23-inch fucking pipes.
What do you
pulled
do?
over
you
another
get pulled
car.
over by that fucking guy. You're like, wait, is this happening?
Oh, but he was like arresting somebody for like illegal substances, and you're like, buddy, you're on all the sauce.
What are you?
You know what the fuck I'm doing?
What do you have any? But at least in the late 90s, and I don't want to.
Come on, bro. That guy pulled you over.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd be like, what are you talking about?
At least in the late 90s in Southern California, I don't want to speak out of turn here, but I did. My sister married LAPD, and my sister's 11 years older than me, so it was almost like having like another generation. But my sister married a man in LAPD, and he had a lot of friends. And I also used to train with a bunch of cops. In the late 90s, mid 90s, a lot of policemen were very, very juicy.
As they should be, though.
If criminals are my clientele,
oh yeah,
all drugs are going to me, and I'm training nonstop with fucking maniacs, with Tim and all those dudes.
Bro. Let's take a little break. This episode of The Firing Kid is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You ever find yourself playing the budgeting game, shifting a little money here, a little money there, hoping it all works out? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can be a better budgeter, potentially lowering your insurance bill too. You tell Progressive what you want to pay for your car insurance. They'll help you find options within your budget. Try it today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Now available in all states. Progressive.
This summer, Pluto TV is exploding with thousands of free movies. Summer of Cinema is here. Feel the explosive action all summer long with movies like Gladiator, Mission Impossible, Beverly Hills Cop, Good Burger, and Transformers: Dark of the Moon. Bring the action with you and stream for free from all your favorite devices. Pluto TV. Stream now. Pay never.
I think soldiers, law enforcement, they should be on all ways to wells, all the peptides, all this fucking enhancements that we can give them.
Yeah.
Like, you want your cop. I shouldn't be able to outrun the cop.
No, I mean, also,
I want my cops fucking, dude.
From a genuine safety standpoint, because like I'm no world beater, but I'm a competent jiu-jitsu fighter. And when I do some of the sheepdog response, Tim's class, and there's plenty of law enforcement who twist me into knots. But then a guy who'll be like, "Oh, I'm San Bernardino County SWAT and everything," and I'm literally smashing without any effort. I go like
this ain't good.
Dude, this is not. Not because I'm more manly. Like, you are a cop. Like, some criminal is gonna fuck you up, and I don't want that to happen.
No,
you have a wife and kids and shit,
Or if they're like out of shape, I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, what are we doing here? But it's also, I understand the out of shape because,
I don't.
Especially nowadays, dude. That is such a fucking stressful job. It's nonstop chaos, and man, when that shit's going on in your brain. And the cortisol levels and the emotional fallout. I think of being a modern police officer. I totally understand not having it in you to like hit the gym and eat fucking chicken breasts and shit. You're like, fuck this. And as soon as I get out of my uniform, I'm gonna eat whatever I want. The
only problem with that is it's like your body is basically your job.
Oh no, I didn't say I support you doing it. I say I get
understand.
it.
Yeah, that's fair.
I get it.
That's fair.
Yeah. And that kind of goes across the board. And I don't even know if it's the stress thing as much as it's too much. People have too much information.
Yes.
Meaning when I got clean. It's one thing when I was a teenager. Anything any of us do when we're 17 almost doesn't apply because it's like we're monkeys. But let's say I'm 22. I just got clean and I'm like, this time I'm gonna commit to doing it, man. I moved back to LA. My hat in hand to my parents, and they said, we'll support you, we'll do it. So I'm living with them. I'm getting all these regular jobs just to pay the bills. I'm like, I'm going to make my life happen. And with that, I'm like, I'm going to get in really good shape too. Okay. So I'm sitting at home bored watching fucking Jackass. And I'm like, I better go to the gym. I better fucking go start reading books and magazines. And I was relegated to, I'd start with like Flex magazine. I was like, I don't know if this is really cutting it. Then I graduated to going to the library, and then I researched very early on the internet. I wasn't really savvy to it. So I didn't even go on the internet. We're talking like 2001, 2001. So I go to the library, and then I read a book. That book would lead me to the next book and everything. But I was in this very narrow margin of information. Because I was very passionate about it, I stayed in it and I kept going like this. Yep. Now it's almost, you don't even necessarily have to be that interested in stuff. It's just like information's avalanching to you, and then next thing you know, you don't really connect to stuff.
Yeah, agree. If a guy like you who got their shit together and you're an addict, stuff like that, you saw the Jon Jones news, right? Yeah. And this is my thing. This is
brought that up.
This is his seventh, kind of issue with the law. This is the seventh time he's been caught. Now, you know that if you're doing this stuff or you have a buddy who drinks and drives, he's doing it nonstop, but he might have been caught once or twice. Yep. And if you get a DUI, you're going to, suffer some severe penalties. I think the issue with Jon, he's 38 and he hasn't learned his lesson yet because he's been caught and there's no consequences. He gets a slap on the wrist, pays a fine, does some fucking community service, can still fight, gets all the fruits of his labor. So there's no reason for him to get better. He hasn't hit rock bottom. Yeah. Because what's rock bottom for him? Okay, we're going to suspend you 6 months, whatever. He tests hot for PDs. Okay, this. He has the issue with his wife in the hotel. We all see it. His wife calls the cops. Nothing. Fights for a heavyweight title. Wins that. So then people are getting mad at him. Like, buddy, why would this 38-year-old savage have any reason to change? And also, if you think this is just something that's out of the blue, this is just the times he's been caught. Yep. He's been living like this. That's
absolutely a good point.
Forever with no consequences. Right. So why would he change?
There's people.
What would you do? What would you do if you were in his circle? What do you do?
I will say, and Mike Tyson, Jon Jones, I was thinking about this the other day I think from what I understand, from what I gather, because I don't know this man, but I'm very interested in it. From what I gather, the Nick Diaz situation has actually turned back around. He's in Mexico in a rehab facility working hard. And so, but I was thinking about that.
I heard he wants to leave there, but that's a whole different.
Either way, but from what I was seeing Nick Diaz a couple years ago, I was like, oh my God, this
trouble.
But I remember what Mike Tyson said about it as someone who has put the pieces back together. He said, when you're that guy, people are so scared to tell you the truth.
Say anything.
People, and I got to be honest. If I was really close friends with Jon Jones, and I see the exact same thing I don't think I only know Jon from listening to interviews and stuff, and then also friends of friends who have actually had a chance to get to know the guy. I think he is a victim of his own amazingly obscure talents and his gifts. He is so gifted. And because most people that do get the chance to really know the guy, some people that tangentially know him will say things, but I have friends that really know him who remain, and they're like, he's actually a really good guy. He's actually like a really sweet guy, but he's fucking a wild man, and he's so good at what he does, and he's rich, and I
think he's a good guy if you're not married to him.
Well, yeah, true.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you wouldn't want him dating your sister.
No, I wouldn't. But I will say, to get back to what we're talking about, to keep it like on point, I would be scared shitless, because as someone who has been through addiction and has seen how dark it can get, and then also had the amazing luck and the fortune of having people in my life who have helped me, and I've been able to see the other side of it, I would always do that. I would pull someone aside. I have in my life. I was like, this shit can't.
But you have to hit rock bottom.
You do,
right?
But also here's another thing. And I can only speak from my experience, and then from people who are very, very close with me who have been in the same. Rock bottom oftentimes isn't something that is very predictable. I know people who have killed people with their car under the influence, and that wasn't their rock bottom. And what eventually got their rock bottom, it was very innocuous. For me, I had been rushed to the hospital when I was at the very end of like the darkest of my addiction. I was going to the hospital so frequently with ODing. I'd wake up in ambulances and shit. It wasn't even surprising. Like I didn't get all fucking been out of shape. I'd just be like, oh, well, here it goes again. And I'm not talking daily, but twice a month over a span of 6 months.
That's a lot.
And to the point where, and that wasn't, and I went to jail, and I got my ass kicked, and I got dumped by lots of chicks, and I got very, very, very disenfranchised and very.
You just got sick of it.
And all of these major moments, me getting clean, my rock bottom, I was in a fucking shitty motel in Inglewood, smoking rocks. And I happened to glance. I remember Rude, because now I know him. It's very strange. Rude Jude was on Jenny Jones, and I was laughing. I loved Rude Jude, and I was like, great. And it was middle of the day, and this is how I'm spending my day. And I happened to glance in the mirror at the end of this motel bed, and I looked at myself shirtless with a tinfoil pipe making rocks. And I like to this day, I always tell Drew, I can't remember it in first person vision. I see it as like myself looking down on myself, and almost like my soul left my body, not to sound corny. And I have no reason I can't explain it. I got up off that bed, I walked to the side of the bed, and I opened the dresser and got the yellow pages, and I started looking up rehab facilities, and that was the last time I used used a drink. There was no rock, meaning my rock bottom. You couldn't have pulled it out of a lineup because I had fucking crash cars. I had gone to jail. I got my ass kicked. I woke up with my nose broken in part of Long Beach. I didn't ever really go to. I just in someone's front yard. The sprinklers and shit woke me up, and my nose was broken. And I was like, I have no idea how any of this shit happened.
For John, everyone wants to get mad at him. And listen, he's a grown man. He's responsible for his life. But it's like, why would you assume he would change his ways?
Yeah.
Because the way he's going, he's the best fighter to ever do it. He has all the riches. His wife hasn't left him. His kids are still there.
Yeah.
So I don't know what people expect. And this is just the seventh time he's been caught. I don't know what you do.
I hope for his sake that not having the amazing adrenaline push of being heavyweight and light heavyweight world champion and going into the ring and that feeling, that sound of the crowd, all of the lead up, all of the press, when that's over, maybe he'll be forced to just take more of a look in the mirror and be like, what the fuck am I doing? I'm hoping. I'm very optimistic.
That's why I asked you. I don't know. I don't know what you do.
Maybe one
especially
of his brothers,
you look at Connor too.
Yeah.
Connor's
because Connor's
a different animal.
Is so fucked up. And so okay. There's equally as much chance because I don't know the guy that Conor McGregor would beat the fucking shit out of me as Jon Jones. But I'm somehow scared at the prospect of being alone in a room with Jon and saying something. Conor, I almost feel like I'm sure maybe you are going to punch me in the face. I don't care. You're fucking a menace to society. You're going to die. You're going to die or you're going to kill someone.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's really sad because you don't have to be like this.
I know.
You don't. This is all drugs and alcohol. You've gone off into territory where this isn't funny anymore. You're not. Fucking day. What did you want me to fucking do? I was like, dude, you're mumbling. You were the guy who was so good at shit talking that I couldn't even go like this. What's more interesting, watching you eviscerate your opponents with your mouth,
or the build,
or that left hand that you lightning fucking double smash Eddie Alvarez's face? I go, wow, that is mind blowing. How amazing that is. But your press conferences were just as mind blowing. I'm like, you are on fire right now. It's fucking Red Panty Night. Oh, tell everybody you know it. And I'm like, dude, where Red Panty Night? That shit's awesome. Where did now you fucking mumble and snort, and And you're punching dudes in Ibiza, and who God knows what you're doing to women behind closed doors. Again, and it doesn't have to be like this. You're not you're not Charles Manson.
No.
Okay, this is something else has taken over you. You know?
Yeah, I couldn't give you answers on how to fix those guys. But I think at those guys, like, I'm a wild boy in a sense. Like, I guess my issues, you don't become a cage fighter because you're normal and that you're going to fit in with society. So then, though, like, I was an outlier amongst normal people when it comes to that stuff. Those guys there's wolves, and then there's those guys who are the lions amongst the wolves. And then we're like, I don't get why they're not normal. It's like, well, hold on. You're talking about whatever, let's say there's 1,000 UFC fighters. Those are the outliers amongst the outliers.
Amongst wild men.
They're not going to function the same as everybody else. And then you guys are like, I can't believe they're doing this in their personal life. It's like, hold on. You think they're going home and watching Netflix? Yeah. They're just different animals, legit wired different.
It's the same.
So it's like, I don't know if you can get to that level of greatness that these guys are in really all sports. Maybe baseball's a little different, but football, those guys are fucking wild, man. Kobe Bryant.
You need someone.
They're insane.
Last time we were here, we talked about the amazing story. You're talking about not only the NBA players who are already the best of the best, top 0.001% of the world, NBA players. Then you take the NBA All-Stars. That's elevate them. Then out of those guys, they're telling stories about how weird Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant are. Yes. Because there's another level, okay? Yep. You need someone who has the balls, or frankly, the heart, the love. I'll give you a perfect example. And the only reason I even would think to talk about this in a public environment is because he's a public character. I know him very well. I care about this man. And then also this whole incident got broadcast in a very public way. But Steve-O never be alive right now. Never. Knoxville and that crew, they had to big brother him, and that takes big fucking balls and huge. They literally did right? They did there's an intervention. They did one of those interventions where they also paid the money to have professionals there, where it's like Steve-O thinks he's leaving this room.
He's not leaving.
Yeah, you really have two choices.
Yep.
Because this, guys with your body and your history are standing right here. They're also with us, and you're not like, you don't have a choice. This has come to the point where we have to do this, and you're gonna die or you're gonna kill someone, and that's when you get to that point. But especially, I'm not saying everyone who has the disease of addiction or is suffering has to get that. When you're that famous and rich, and your parameters for where your boundaries are so kind of nebulous. Then there needs to be like real Big Brother activity.
I know. Who's going to Big Brother John?
Who's Big Brother?
Even if they called me like, hey, we're doing this intervention with Jon Jones, dude. We need you in the room. I'd be like, no.
Physically, no. Let's be very honest. Physically, nobody. No. But I think there's people who have the stature to do it. I don't know.
Who's he listening
Dana, to? Maybe? Dana and a team of other people, I
don't know. And I think that's the curse for Jon Jones.
Yeah.
Anybody else, anybody, name a celebrity. We can figure it out how to get to their bottom line and get them the help they need. With Jon, who's going to do it? It's not like he has a ton of close friends. He's a lone wolf.
I like Jon too. I obviously I've never met the man, but there's sometimes I see people in public arena, and again, let's shit on people. But there's sometimes you see people in a public arena, a lot of times they're suffering from addiction, or they're just the assholes. And I go like, yeah, well, look at that. That guy's a fucking jerk. That chick, clearly that's who she is. Fuck.
And there's nothing we can do.
And then there's people, I would put Connor in the same time. I look in his eyes and I go like, that's not you, man.
That's not Connor.
There's something's going on here. I don't think John's like a bad dude. I don't think he is. I think he's a wild man. I think he is absolutely wild, but you would know a lot better than I would.
Yeah.
You would know a lot better than I would.
Yeah. I don't want to say like John's not rotten to the core, but there's some issues there as far as I don't know if I don't see, and obviously Connor's the news and stuff. Like if you're comparing like what's more evil, as of lately, if you believe the stuff that happened in the trial in Ireland, that we can get into that if you want, but Conor might have more serious legal issues than Jon. And Jon's had more issues, but Conor, before the fame, there's a really solid, good person in there.
It's magical that when you watch him when he's all pimply face
I've
in
never
those
seen anything of it. I'm telling you, I've been around. I've worked with him. You're like, oh, that's such a special human. That's such a good soul. And he came from nothing. He has his wife, and he's created this life. And before he even fought Floyd and did all this stuff, me and him went to lunch at Firehouse in Venice. Me and him were sitting there, and he was mapping it out. And he's not that famous at the time. And I was like, this dude's out of his fucking rocker. Yep. But I kind of believe him. This is so cool. He was such a good person. With Jon, since the minute you met him, there's a darkness there. There's just a darkness.
Yeah, you might be right. And also,
it's also what makes him great.
I was going to say he's harnessed it in a positive way too, because there's guys like I've trained strength and conditioning with world champion. I trained with Rafael dos Anjos and Lyoto Machida and Verdum and Verdum's brother. And I got to know these men very much. There's some guys that are excellent fighters and will fuck you up. They're not dark people.
Those guys you mentioned are all salted.
They're real, like Lyoto. You can't believe how nice they are.
Give you a shirt off his back.
Rafael dos Anjos is like, he brings his wife to training. Like, you can't believe how nice he is.
John's not like that.
No. And I feel like
there's a darkness there, which makes him the best at cage fighting. But there's a darkness there. It's almost like you hear the stories about Michael Jordan. You're like, oh my God, I think I never met him.
Well,
with Jon, it's similar. It's like to reach that air of greatness amongst these other lions, you got to be a sociopath and so special and so selfish. Yeah. That's the cost.
I agree.
Now, again,
when you're trying shit out in the ring, do you remember he was doing like spinning upper elbows and stuff? And he's like, I've never really worked on that. There's a thing in the same way that, like, I told you guys last time, I told you and Brian, we were talking about how I don't know shit about shit, but I do, working in radio, got very close with the highest level of LA sports media. So I would get a lot of inside stories about a lot of things. There's Shaq, and then there's Kobe. There's a litany of stories of how awesome Shaq is. He's just awesome. And there's a litany of stories about, like, Kobe's different. Like, that was a different guy.
All right, one thing we all care about is securing our home for our family. And most security systems take action only after somebody breaks in. That's way too late. Simply Safe's new Active Guard outdoor protection helps stop break-ins before they even happen. If someone's lurking, agents talk to them in real time, turn on spotlights, and can call the police. All right, proactively deterring crime before it starts. No contracts, no hidden fees. Named the best home security system 2025 by CNET. Over 4 million Americans trust Simply Safe. Ranked #1 customer service. Monitoring plans start around $1 a day. 60-day money back guarantee. All right. So if you want to get your first month free, all right, and you can get 50% off your new Simply Safe system and professional monitoring and your first month free, go to simplysafe.com/fighter. That's simplysafe.com/fighter. There's no safe like Simply Safe. Or like Lance Armstrong.
Not necessarily like a bad person, but all the stories you would hear about Kobe, they're like, yeah, it's awkward being around him sometimes because he's so fucking, he's like kind of like a sociopath. He's weird. Shaq, their story, all it's like fart jokes and shit.
Yeah, he's great.
And buying poor guys in the league, like buying cars. I'm like, oh, the guy sounds awesome.
Yeah, he's awesome.
I don't like, you hear these stories about some of these fighters, and then you hear Jon, and then also like look at like prime Tyson, like prime. Okay, it's very, very Conor-esque because you like 18, 19-year-old Mike Tyson, Customato Mike Tyson getting interviewed. You're like, what a driven, nice young man. Seriously, you're he trained, and he's like, I work so hard, and I love Cuss so much, and I'm gonna be a world champion. I'm willing to do what it takes. And my opponent tonight, he's a tough guy, but I came out ready.
Then he gets $40 million.
And you see how, and now he literally buys tigers. He's got on chains. Yeah. Like, what the fuck is this? A cartoon character?
Yeah.
And
to your point, that's why Dana's like, man, we have this issue where if we pay these guys, it changes them.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's a good argument to not pay the fighters more, but to pay him that mass amount of money.
No, what do you do?
Is like, and then even Sean Shelby, like he's had a conversation. He had a conversation. What's his fucking name? The Underground King from Philly. Eddie Alvarez.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, this conversation with Sean Shelby. He's like, whenever we pay, and there's not a ton of them, but when we pay these guys like life-changing money, it's very difficult to get them to fight.
Yeah.
And to get them to fight the matchups we need them to do, like they want to call their shots.
I think it was Hagler who said, yeah, it's really hard to get up in the morning and do your road work when you're in silk sheets. It's, especially like, this is something I'll say because I've never been a professional athlete. I've never made millions of dollars. A lot of you younger guys are listening to this and you're like, no, not me. If I want something, and I believe you think that when you have a family and you're a man and then you have millions of dollars and you don't have to bite and scream and constantly think, how am I going to fucking put food on the table for my family? And then that's over. It's really hard to motivate yourself to do shit.
It's tough.
It's really hard to motivate yourself to, and I speak as not a guy who's even gotten sniffed
near that
level of like science fiction rich,
Yep.
but just getting to I mean, what I would do when I was just getting clean and they hired me at K-Rock and then they weirdly put me on the air. I was working for Kevin and Bean. I was a security guard at a rehearsal studio overnights from midnight to 5 a.m. I had to be at Kevin and Bean at 5:30 in the morning. Then I would go do that. And then I was a janitor at a prosthetics lab in the daytime until 5 days a week. And I never once thought, oh man, what am I doing? I'm driving myself into the grave. I was like, I'm going to be something someday.
Yep.
Then they made me the host of Loveline. Now I'm on the Kevin and Bean show from 5 to 10 a.m. and I'm hosting Loveline nationally from 10 to midnight.
But is Loveline, is Loveline life-changing money?
For a single guy living by himself, yeah, but not
As a family
no,
of four,
it's not
no.
life-changing. It was for the first time in my life. I remember the day I took my family of origin to dinner at a really nice place. I think it was Koi in Santa Monica. And it was like I was hosting Loveline, and I think we were kind of celebrating. My sister, my brother-in-law, my mom and dad, and they came out with their kids, and I motioned to the waiter, and I was like, "I got this."
Yeah,
and that was how rich I was, but it wasn't life-changing.
Yeah.
It was just I could do that.
Yeah,
and that to me. But then, so I got to that point. I'm now sleeping at the station a lot because I have to be live on Kevin and Bean at 5:30 in the morning. And I just got off the air at midnight. Am I really going to drive back to and half of that time I'm doing E-News right after Kevin and Bean.
Jesus, you're hustling.
Okay, then kind of Dancing with the Stars, Regis and Kelly, that kind of stuff happens. Now I got 2 TV shows. I'm not doing Kevin and Bean anymore because I have enough money financially where I'm good to just do my radio show at nighttime. And in the daytime, 2 or 3 days out of the week, I have to be on TV for like an hour and they're paying me $400,000.
It's pretty good money, but
and I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that you know how very quickly it got unmotivating.
Yeah.
To do what I was doing.
Yeah, to keep up the hustle.
I didn't not one second did I go, this sucks. I haven't slept in a week. This sucks, man. I'm still wearing the same shoes. I'm wearing the same jeans that I've been wearing for 5 days because I haven't even gone home. I hope my dogs are okay. I never thought shit like that. I was like, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
I'm fucking hungry.
But are you one of the guys where, not that you came from nothing, but once you have money, which, you're comfortable now.
Yeah.
But do you have that constant fear of going back to broke?
No, what I do have, because I did not grow up struggling at all. I wasn't a Trump.
But you've struggled before.
I was broke.
And shit.
Yeah.
No. You felt
2001 to 2005. I was like, how am I going to make rent this month? Broke. And I just refused to, like, I happened 2 or 3 times, but I felt like I was swallowing razors. I'd go to my parents' house. I'd be like,
so you know what that's
can I borrow a couple grand? Because I don't know what to do.
But today that you don't wake up with cold sweats.
No, I don't feel like that. But what I do feel like is like, I think about those times when, I'd get like, be the first Saturday, but when I'd have jobs that were Monday through Friday. Right. And the first Saturday that came around where I didn't have something to do, and I would be sitting there watching TV or doing whatever you do to kill time on a day when you don't have work. I'm 24. And my dog's sitting on my lap, and I'm like, fuck, I'm a loser. Like, how am I going to pay my rent?
Yeah.
Like, how am I got a car. I got a car that's spends more time in the garage than and getting worked on than it does for me to drive it.
Yep.
I don't have enough money. I don't even have enough money to buy gas to put in it because it's a fucking truck. I'm such an idiot buying a car that gets 9 miles to the gallon when I'm broke. And I was sitting in those moments, and I don't necessarily fear being in that financial position. I fear that feeling. I'm a fucking loser.
Yep.
I don't ever want to feel like a loser.
Yep.
Because
Yep.
Shit, I'm getting emotional. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, no, it's true. I think that's what most, especially guys in our business, that's the biggest fear, being a loser. Well, being a loser. But my thing is, my kids experience, like, they're used to this life. Like, my life out here is a fucking movie, dude. Like, I wake up, there's the lake there. Like, we've been on the lake every day. And like my wife, I told her, I'm like,
your wife's so fucking hot.
Yeah,
it's got to make you feel weird.
Yeah.
It's got to make you feel like, what, is this real?
No, yeah, it's fucking, we're in a simulation, according to Elon Musk. But yeah, my thing is that they have this life where my wife's like, you fucking called it, man. Like, it's so great out here. It feels like a fucking movie. It feels like we're on vacation every day. Biggest motivation is, we can't go back. We can't go back.
Yeah, I can't.
I don't want my kids to be like, have that story when they're in their 20s, like, yeah, we grew up in this dope fucking crib. We're on the lake, and then something happened. And
now
we moved to this apartment.
Yeah. No,
my dad sold all his cars. Like, that's the motivation.
It's not even the amount of money. You're right.
It's none of that.
The idea of regression.
Yes.
It seems so scary. And I also think that I'm a victim of, and then also very grateful for the fact that I never did, besides Loveline, I never did things in my career that were I really ever even desired to do. So it's hard for me to feel regression.
Yeah, I feel
from a professional standpoint.
Yes.
I wasn't a professional fighter. So then when I'm fighting in like a local thing for a couple $100, I don't feel like a loser because all my TV shows is like, are you serious? You'll pay me what to do what? Talk. Yeah. Like I used to be roofing in LA in August. And you're going to pay me that much money to talk? But I think are you out of your fucking mind?
But I think the business you're in to get like validation's weird. Like with what you do is fucking, it's tough, man.
It is.
Like if someone asked me about Mike Catherwood, I'm like, loser. Like if someone said something, I'm like, you out of your fucking mind?
Yeah.
I could go through the litany of shit you've done, how fucking strong you are, you're good of shape, how professional. Like I could give you a list of what makes Catherwood a badass. But you're not going to feel that way. And that's the business you're in. You know
it is. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And I feel like I'm very lucky because a lot of people in other facets of the entertainment, a little bit narrower parts of the entertainment, actors, comedians, writers, if you were writing for Cheers in 1991, it's impossible to not feel kind of like a loser if you're doing like a show that's on Netflix at not 11. You know what I'm saying? Like,
or you're writing for an influencer on YouTube who's getting millions of views. But you're like, man, I used to write for fucking Cheers, bud.
Whereas I think you say that, and I appreciate it, and I feel like you're telling the truth. I feel like people who know me can sit there and say like, he's not. He's like, he's really happy with his family. He loves them. He's a farmer and he loves that.
No.
But I think I think it's very reasonable for people who don't necessarily know me, who are watching this right now, who are just coming to be like, who the fuck's this guy? And that's very also completely justifiable to be like not very successful because I'm in the entertainment industry and not very many people know that I do shit. So
I disagree. Like my thing, when you moved to Austin at a farm, like, oh, Mike made it.
I felt that way. I did.
Like Mike made it. Like you can move out to a farm. Like you don't have to be in this rat race.
Yeah.
Oh, Mike made it.
I just got to figure out
I tell everyone like, what's going to make you feel like you made it? I'm like, when you text me, it shows up green because I have a flip phone.
Yeah.
Where I'm not a slave to social media and doing all this shit. You'll know I've made it where it's like, hey, I text shop and went green. Oh yeah. You can only call us landline. That's when I know I can step back.
But you've always been,
until
and
then,
it's so funny because I have you in my life. I have Dr. Drew. I had my friend, God rest his soul, Orlando Sanchez. But I have like all these people in my life who are like lightning rod. Of course, Callan too. During the times when his controversial stuff was kind of perceived. But I have these people where I'm put in positions where, in a public setting or online, or I'm like, whoa, where I have these people where I it's very weird to have friends, that guys that you genuinely can call like, oh, I like that. He would have my back. I like that guy. Yep. I care about him. Where you have to be constantly put in situations where you stick up for him. I don't want to get, because it's douchey to be like, dude, you wouldn't believe what I told this guy about you the other day. But Tim's another guy where I've been in completely minding my own business in a gym somewhere in North Austin, and someone starts talking hella shit, like, so it's very weird to be put in these situations.
Let's take a little break here because today's episode of Finding Kids is brought to you by Viva Zen. Sometimes when the day winds down, your body's still wired. Grabbing a drink isn't always the best solution if you want to stay sharp. Viva Zen Relax and Unwind Shot is plant-based way to decompress using kava, GABA, and other common herbs without alcohol, heavy sedatives, or next day grogginess. Listen, we tried it here at Finding the Kid after a long day, and man, just the tension drops without losing your focus and energy. It just takes the edge off naturally. Not all the chemicals, you don't need all that stuff. Viva Zen has been trusted over 12 years with over 600 million servings sold. Every batch is independently lab tested for quality and consistency. Right now, you can try a free 3-pack of Relax and Unwind Shot. Just cover shipping. That's it. Click on the link in the description. All you have to do is cover shipping and experience the difference for yourself.
But at the same time, like, I feel like all these guys in my life that are, one of the things I will use you as an example exclusively because it's unfair to bring in other people. One of the things that I think a lot of people in the internet sphere get very critical about you is they'll be like, there's no self-awareness. And I couldn't disagree. I think none of my friends in the entertainment industry, especially in the like digital space, are more self-aware than you are.
Correct.
Because you struggle with the idea of like, I'm going to be in the space of like influencer / comedian / this and that, where I'm buff and used to fight in cages and I'm handsome and you know what I'm saying? Like, it would be so hard to do that and not, it's so hard to kind of express to people who aren't in this world. There's a reason why a lot of comedians are kind of like nebbishy, like the hoodie and the ill-fitting clothes. Yes. And it's like, because that fits what people understand. And it also makes it easier for people to kind of connect with them on stage.
Yep.
And same with broadcast, same with radio guys. And when someone comes along, and you could say what you want about fucking Dane Cook or these guys or D'Elia,
Matt Rife.
but Matt Rife, a lot of it is just like you're fucking swimming uphill when you don't fit that mold.
Yep.
And since day one, when you and fucking Callan were just piecing together the idea of doing a podcast, you're living in a fucking, I remember you were living in a condo in Marina Del Rey and you just got your first Beamer that. You were just getting on your baller car and you're like, yeah, dude, I don't care. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And it's like, it'll be rough. It'll be, cause like, look at my jeans. And I'm looking at buying this Porsche and you're like, this is going to be rough for me.
Oh yeah.
But you never once were like, I don't even understand why people are talking. You're like, look at my jeans.
I've got it from day one.
Look at my,
I get it.
I
get it.
And so anyway, that's something. And Drew is another guy, Dr. Drew.
I find myself defending Drew all the time.
I said this to, I flew out to, I was doing a project. I never like to air out dirty laundry.
Yep.
So I was doing a project that Drew was involved in. And we were having a really hard time with the people who would eventually pull the trigger and write the checks for said project. So I fly out to LA and I'm in this guy's office. And he says to me, the other day I turn on my TV and I hear Dr. Drew on Fox News talking about this and that. I just don't know if that's the type of guy I want to do business with. Because I was like, what is this whole, like, it seems like there's a lot of friction here. And he says, I just don't know if that's the type of guy I want to do business with. And I got up out of the chair and I told him, you could suck my balls.
Oh, really?
And he's like, what? I was like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like that really?
Yeah. You're Dr. Drew.
And I walked away.
All the guys.
And,
do you get, he's not even a real doctor. I get that all the time. Like, all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, and then I also get like, what does he know? He's a psychiatrist. It's like, no, he's an MD. He's an internist. He's an addiction medicine specialist.
Fucking idiot. Look it up.
He's actually not a psychiatrist.
Dude, my first flight out here looking at houses, this is like 4 months ago. I got in an argument with two people on the plane about Rogan.
Oh yeah. Well, that's it.
I was like, okay.
Here.
And I was like, am I really going to fight
you
these
and
people?
you and Brian and Bert and all the like that, the Rogan sphere, you guys can say all you want. There, people are just gonna be like, they're fucking sheep.
Yep.
Rogan's not my boy, but I knew Rogan. If Joe Rogan walked in right now, because he lived on, he'd be like, oh, Mike, what's it? He knows me.
He's great.
Before JRE, he used to have to do radio to promote his comedy, as all comics did.
Oh, yeah.
And he used to come in Kevin and Bean all the time. He was one of our favorite people.
Yep.
He was amazing. He used to light up the airwaves. He always was cool with me. I remember when I did my Armenian parody rap song, he blew it up and he's like, dude, you have no idea. I'm at 10th Planet the other day and all these Armenian dudes
love it.
they're like, this is, and he gave me and Kevin tickets to go to UFCs. He was cool. I have an experience. What I want to say is, like, I'm not in the Rogan sphere. I'm not hanging out with him later. I'm not going to go to the mothership and do his thing. I will tell you, in 2004, Joe Rogan would come in to do the radio show. And you know what he would talk about on and off the air? MMA, conspiracy theories, fucking wild animals that I'd never heard of that are living on some island in Fiji. Can you believe what this guy said?
Yeah.
There's a theory about Hitler right now.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I just got this new Porsche.
He's the same guy.
All of this shit you're seeing, this isn't a creation. This isn't a costume.
There's just more people watching now.
Yeah. And so I was like, hate him or love him. I will tell you, I saw it with my off the air, on the air. It's completely him. It's just him. It's just completely him. And by the way, here's another thing. A lot of it has happened on the air now. So people think like, oh, he's nobody. I'm really thinking, besides Kevin and Bean themselves, I don't know anybody who off the air, without wanting to get his buzz for it, was more supportive of up and coming comics than fucking.
No, nowhere near.
That's why, by the way, I don't want to air again. I don't want to air out 3 live. This is my shit. But that's why the Mencia shit happened. Not because Rogan was mad because he was stealing his shit.
For the other
he was fucking furious about Ari and the guys.
For the boys. Yeah.
He was. I've never seen a guy more actually concerned.
He had to leave the comedy store.
Yeah.
Over it. You know, they sided with Mencia because he's a bigger actor than
for some reason
that wasn't beneficial to Joe at the time.
And that's not a thing like I said, we're not like boys like that. But you could see that was very evident just from hanging out off the air. It meant something to him to support people. So,
oh, dude, you're the loyalest person, you know, probably besides Lex in my life is Joe. There was a comic who went bad on me I forgave them. I don't give a fuck. It happens. And he was like, you can forgive, but don't forget. And I was like, dude, you can allow him to work your club. He's like, nope.
Yeah. I'm
like, you don't need to do that, man. He's just a fucking loyal dude.
He is. Yeah, it seems. And then I also, that shit matters more now than ever before.
More so
because
than ever.
I see, and it's not even necessarily relegated to my industry. I think just the way that people's public persona, because it used to be to have a public persona. Okay. I was thinking about it the other day. My daughter doesn't have social media. I'm not better than you. I'm not like some hipster parent, but my daughter doesn't have social media. She doesn't really even have access to screens and shit.
Good for you.
Every once in a while we'll get together and watch some Mr. Beast or some shit like that, but we don't, it's not our thing. When it's 16, 16, it'll probably be harder. But I because of that, I was trying to make a point to usher her away from it. I got to thinking, man, when I was in high school, to have someone take a picture of you and then have strangers critique it.
Tough.
You had to be a model or an actor. Literally. It was 0.001% of the world had to have the feeling of an image or a video of you being critiqued by people you didn't know.
And now it's everywhere.
That's how we all live that life.
The really our age are the guinea pigs for it.
Yeah.
And now the younger kids, because they have their dads were, in the spotlight or something like that, they can kind of push it away from them a little bit. But I think in 30 years, they're like, oh my God, can you believe we gave them the open freedom to just post and critique and say whatever the fuck it's crazy. And suicide's through the roof now. Eating disorders through the roof now.
Yeah.
It just so happens it coincides with social media.
Depression, mental illness. Everyone talks about Trump. Everyone talks about woke libs and MAGA and guns and the mental health shit. We should worry about nothing else. I'm in an argument with my friend, a Brit. I like this man. He's a very smart guy. Well, he's not some sprack off at the mouth guy, but he was very critical of America and guns. And I was being very diplomatic. I wasn't like, fuck you, dude. You don't know what you're doing. I was like, well, what is your concern? And he was saying, look at the numbers of gun-related death and gun-related violence in this country, just in comparison to any other developed country. Don't compare it with Syria or El Salvador. Yeah. So we look at the numbers and I go like, oh, it's a lot, right? We end the conversation again, very civil. I like this guy a lot. He's not like bomb-lobbing woke dude. We're having a conversation. So it piqued my interest. I go and I research it, and I realize close to 70% of gun deaths in this country are self-inflicted.
Correct. Suicide, mental health.
And I didn't go, I got to call this guy up and rock. I go, wait, how many people are eating a gun in this fucking country? Right?
Yeah.
Like what? How? That's the first thing that came into my. I was like, whoa.
But on top of that, look at mass shooters.
And
none of them are sane or doing well. There are these incels who were pushed out from society and from chicks and being the cool kid in school and got bullied. And they have mental issues or they're medicated.
You got to think, like, you got to get through your head, people, especially young men. It doesn't take molestation or extreme levels of drug addiction or growing up fighting for your life. That's not what it takes to push you to a point where life's not worth living.
Yeah.
And because I was watching this, this is not to criticize, but I was watching a female comedian the other day, and she made it. It was actually quite well formulated joke about how the number one reason for women to the number one thing women worry about is when they do polls is violence brought onto them by men, and the number one thing men worry about is public embarrassment.
Yeah.
Or shame. And her joke was like, oh, boo-hoo, did someone hurt your feelings? Look what we have to deal with.
Yeah.
And so this isn't but it made me think, and I was like, oh no, funny joke, and I don't think you were being serious. It was a comedic delivery. But it's not just, oh, boo-hoo, did someone hurt your feelings?
No, that shame turns into violence.
It crushes a man. There's nothing worse.
They go in a dark split place, and if they don't have the outlet and the resources, that turns into the mass shootings. That turns into the violence.
I had a guy literally walk me outside. He's like, "We're gonna fight right now," and beat me up. Like I had stood no chance. It didn't hurt me deeply at all because he was big and older and had been in lots more fights than I. When someone had cut me, like, well, that's because you'll never amount to this or that. My whole life was touched in a negative way. I couldn't fucking imagine getting out of bed.
No.
You guys saw how affected I got just talking about, thinking about being a loser again.
I know. But after you lose a fight, like I remember my first real loss. Yeah, my first loss was Roy Nelson. It's on the Ultimate Fighter finale in front of millions of people. Physically, I was okay. I walked around Denver because, I was a Denver boy. Yeah. I'd walk around in restaurants with my head down like this. I just had this shame.
Right.
And I thought everyone was looking at me going, oh, that's guy that got knocked out. That was what sucked the most.
Yeah.
They weren't doing that. Yeah. No one was doing that.
Your jaw was good 10 days later.
I was less than that. Yeah. Like my dad was like, dude, no one's staring at you. Like, you're good. You got to get rid of this. But it was the shame that hurt the worst.
And that worries me. I saw this AI thing. It was actually really cool. I could send it to you. It's pretty fucking mind-blowing. And it's an Audio Slave song. And it starts off with Chris Cornell singing it, who is the original thing. And then it goes to Cobain, Freddie Mercury, James Hetfield. It goes and it's a pretty amazing collection of singers. And it's them. AI has made them singing this song. And it sounds great. People are all mind-blown about how AI is progressing. And I do. But almost immediately I was like, 4 suicides, 2 ODs, and 8.
Correct.
What? These are the greatest artists. These are the greatest frontmen and frontwomen that way. And like, what percentage of them are still taking? None of them are at 90. But none of them should be dead.
Yeah, but those people, they have their issues and mental issues. But I don't think you get those great songs if they didn't have that.
Sometimes.
That's the dilemma, brother. We could talk for fucking forever. 7 hours, brother.
That's what I do.
We gotta get rolling. But dude, I appreciate you. I'll see you Wednesday. Right?
Whenever, dude.
Like, can we continue Wednesday? Pick this up Wednesday?
I would hope that you would know that when I say, whenever you want me, I'm there.
People talk, but you're one of the guys that show up. You're the best, brother. We love you, man. So I got to go. But we love you. We'll continue this Wednesday. This is The Fighter in Catherwood. We're out.
Yeah, buddy.
Listen, guys, sometimes you're feeling sluggish during the day, all right? Struggling in the gym. Maybe not you're quite feeling yourself. Well, guess what? With Joy Mode, you can level up with their testosterone support complex, dubbed by Men's Journal as the ultimate manliness multivitamin. It is an all-natural powerhouse designed to help you reclaim your energy, confidence, and edge so you can crush your day, your workouts, and whatever life throws your way. Testosterone isn't just about muscle mass or libido. It's the fuel behind your energy, stamina, confidence, and overall vitality. So if you are feeling off your game, this is your chance to take control. Give your body the support it deserves. Joy Mode's testosterone support complex is packed with clinically proven ingredients like ashwagandha, DIM, and boron, nature's best tools for supporting healthy testosterone levels, reducing stress, and improving recovery. No prescriptions, no gimmicks, just 3 capsules a day to help you power through your workout with strength and energy, stay sharp and focused at work, and feel your most confident self in and out of the bedroom. Over 100,000 men have already trusted Joy Mode to help them unlock their potential, and guess what? You can join them. Start today, save up to 30% your subscription. Start today and save up to 30% with a subscription plan. If you are looking to take your game to the next level, visit tryjoymode.com. Use code FIGHTER, checkout for 20% off a single purchase, 30% subscription orders. That's tryjoymode.com. Use code FIGHTER for 20% off single purchases, 30% off subscription orders.